Yes, hello tradies. It is season 3, episode 23. We're at the end of July. It is freezing outside. I wish I was back in Europe, but I am glad that I'm sitting properly across the table from Mitchell Cleary. We are here thanks to the great people at St Andrews Beach Brewery, the new brewery at Melbourne Park, the only place to be before a game at the G this season. Hello, Mitchell.
Hello, Sam. I can tell you're cold when you got the beanie and the hoodie on this Tuesday morning, so good to see you.
Take me back to Belfast.
It's also interesting to note that the beanie is on because I was watching Footy Classified last night and felt that you've grown the hair out a bit since you've been back.
I've had comments on this. I literally just got a haircut like the day before I got on a plane.
They must have not gone short enough. Or you've gone overseas with a bit of sun and it's gone a bit lighter or something.
Interesting. I've had a lot of feedback on the hair getting longer, but it's not.
You know, surfers when they, get that blonde tinge.
Well, I do get confused for a surfer quite regularly.
Because you wear that. You got the yellow, for those that are just listening to this and not watching on the YouTube channel, you got the yellow beanie on that you sort of would fit in with Bells Beach crew and that sort of thing down there.
Bit indie, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's definitely how I get referred to as. What did you make of Footy Classified last night on the Toby Greene vision?
Yeah, interesting. So we've since learnt this morning that he's going to get off and no case to answer
because he didn't connect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a bit more of that an air raid song.
I don't think the captain of the footy club should be kicking back like that.
No, it wasn't a great look, was it?
I'm just stunned that he continues to do these things. Love everything he brings as a player.
Yep.
But how does he rush in and give Isaac Heaney one like that and now he's going to miss a pretty big game for that footy club?
Yeah.
This Thursday night could be the difference between the Giants making top 4 or missing the 8. Like, they're probably going to make it now, but there could be a difference between 4th and 8th for them.
Yeah, I do want to pose a question about Toby in the air raid siren, just about his career and how we'll look back. But we could also do a nuts and bolts at some point on all the offers he had during his career to come back to Victoria.
Yeah,
because there was probably about 4 or 5 serious contenders.
Which was the biggest
at different
club?
Times. Probably Carlton.
Yeah,
which is when he signed for. I think did he sign for 7 to stay?
It was in that ballpark.
Was it not that long? I think he, from memory, signed a long-term deal before long-term deals were in vogue.
Yeah.
Like they are now. Oh, so much to get to today.
Well, while we're talking about the
Blues,
weekend.
we've got the D's who are just completely capitulating.
North Melbourne.
Yep. Well, they had already capitulated, but yep. There's a couple of big stories that I think are going to explode. It's going to be a big trade period.
You got an admission to make on your whiteboard? Is there a saint? I reckon when it comes to the whiteboard, sometimes the rules just need to be thrown out. And what we saw...
What happened? I'm confused.
Nazai Wanganeen Miller's last 90 seconds, surely that is enough to just just skyrocket him to the whiteboard. A graders, sorry.
Oh, A graders. Please refer to specifically to which whiteboard.
I want to be clear. A graders.
Oh, that's a good question.
Which is now on a whiteboard.
Yeah. I think I probably have to.
Yeah.
Because I think he's probably the 3rd best player in the competition.
Yeah.
I think it's quite clearly Dacos and Bontempelli, and then maybe a little gap.
His last month has been off the charts.
And then can we... So I made this point, I think, at the age to Michael Gleeson, this is a couple of months ago, that he reminded me a bit, I think I said this to you, of Andrew McLeod.
Yeah, there's vibes of that.
But McLeod didn't have the aerial stuff that Nazai has.
Yep.
It's actually quite incredible. I guess the point I raised is...
McLeod was probably quicker.
We all knew he was great.
Yeah.
So we all knew he was good, and then we all knew he went to another level. I'm not sure many of us thought that he'd go into this rarefied air.
Yeah.
Where he now looks like, I don't know, the second coming of Chris Judd.
Yeah.
Who kicked more goals. I don't know.
I thought half-back, the move...
I'm moving him down.
Corey Enright...
St Kilda have an A-grader. Wow.
Finally a concession here from Sam, which is...
What do you mean?
Which is big, because I don't usually get them, especially 5 minutes into the show.
I concede all... See, this is... I get feedback a lot that I never admit that I'm wrong. I'm wrong all the time. So I sleep well at night knowing that.
I thought the move to half-back, which was engineered by Corey Enright a couple of years ago, he was sort of a wing, then they moved him to half-back. I thought he'll be a distributor, kicker, but what he's been able to do inside and then go forward on the weekend, that mark over Bailey Fritz just sitting on his head, you could replay that for years to come. That'll be a where were you moment for the Nazai Wanganeen Miller in the last 90 seconds.
And it made me think, while I was watching that game, about your point on this pod a few weeks ago, which was if he was to go to, say, Port Adelaide, you know, the only value that would seem fair is if Butters came the other way. Right here, right now, if it was a 1-for-1 trade, I think St Kilda are getting the raw end of that deal.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe I'm saying that out loud.
6 weeks ago, you would have said
Butters is.
You would have said Butters Ed, probably. But what he's been able to do, Nazire, in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, because he's more of a point of difference.
Yeah, and he's 22. He's 3 years younger than Butters.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me as much because you're still going to get 8 years out of Butters.
Yeah, you get 11 out of Nazire. More.
Yeah. And then, of course, you know, there's now been stories, and we did a bit on Classified last night about how St Kilda fans are sort of saying, we don't want De Koning if it means it costs us this bloke. But I think it's appropriate to explain to everyone that they are mutually exclusive. They have so much money that they can afford both of them. The question will be is if they start next year with 2 blokes on over $3 million between them, what does that do to their cap in the short to medium term as they build towards a flag? I think that's the question to raise.
Yeah. I think they're going to be more than okay because what clubs do in this scenario, they would have been pushing to get to 95% of their cap. Don't forget you got to pay at least 95% of your cap.
Yep.
They would have been struggling to get to that area in the last couple of years. And what they would have done is front-ended deals for Wilkie, for Steele, for Rowan Marshall. So these guys would have been on all really good money up front because they had no other superstars to pay at that footy club. And then it allows you to get to the back end of those deals when the money comes off, and that's where you increase and open up money for Nazire and for De Koning. You say they're mutually exclusive. I don't know if that's necessarily the case for Nazire, though, because if you're Ben Williams, his manager, and you're walking in there and St Kilda have got a $1.5 million offer in front of you, and every person in football right now knows that De Koning is getting offered 1.7, you're asking for that extra 200.
Well, I think that just depends on the individual, because is it about the money or is it about what the money stands for? You know, there's that famous story, and you would know better than most, at Geelong when Dangerfield was coming.
Yeah.
That they said, we can't have you earning more than Joel Selwood.
Yeah.
Because it's an optics thing. You know, like, we think you're a star, we want you to come, and we'll do everything to get you here. And we'll pay you great money. But we can't have you arriving here on day one with people knowing that you're earning more than
So
Joel
shouldn't
Selwood.
the optics on this one be there's no world where Tom De Koning arrives into the culture of the footy club and meets his new teammates knowing that everyone knows in the locker room that he's the highest paid player by that far, and every St Kilda person in the last 24 hours has told me that Nazire is the best player on the planet.
Yeah, well, that's the question they have to ask themselves. But the problem that they have found themselves in, which may end up being a good problem, is that they're chips in on De Koning. And whilst the chips have been in the middle of the table, their own chips have the story on them has changed because Nazire's turned himself into a top 5 player in the comp as opposed to a top 35 player in the comp, which we were talking about as, you know, potential All-Australian and, you know, a guy who's going to make a difference.
Someone you scoffed at the start of the year when I suggested as a potential A-grader.
What, did I scoff?
Well, maybe we go back to the tape.
Well, yeah, I'd like to go back to the tape. But I don't think anyone thought he was going to be this good.
No. Well, not this good.
Not this good.
No, he had top 5, top 10, that's, you know, credentials, I think. But
he's turned himself into Chris Judd.
yeah.
Chris Judd used to do this early days for West Coast. Remember, he did it in finals when he was injured.
He's 22.
He was a breakaway midfielder that wasn't that tall that could go and kick goals playing forward.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone thought Nazire had that in his kit bag.
Finn Callahan's coming with a bullet too for the A-graders.
Yeah, he's really good. Who have the Giants got? Toby Greene, Tom Green, Sam Taylor. I think I went too early with Taylor.
No.
I think I'm just not.
No, I'd take probably with Harris Andrews. There's not many I'd take before Sam Taylor. Key defenders.
Glad I put Dawson in there. Melbourne, we've got some issues with Melbourne. Should we get to Melbourne now? Are we done with the Saints?
Yep.
So, without going back over covering old ground too much, who at Melbourne is going to be held accountable for the decisions that they made at the trade period last year? Because someone has to be. It can't be no one.
Well, when did Gary Pert leave?
Was he just going to tip it all on him?
Well,
fine if you're going to.
No, I'm not. But he was the one that led a lot of what happened last year.
Yep. So, as you know, I've got quite a few Demons mates. And
Pert was the CEO up until late last year for those that are playing on.
I think most of them were happy with the club's decision at the time to say, no, we're not going to listen to the outside noise. You guys have no idea what you're talking about. We know what's going on. Remember the famous Kate Roffey quote of, the media only know, was it 5% of what's going on or something ridiculous like that? We know what's going on at the Melbourne Footy Club, right? Like football clubs are some sort of space stations that only certain people can have a degree for. We're going to go again. They didn't. It's blown up in their face quite spectacularly. They're now lingering towards the bottom of the ladder without their first pick because Essendon have it. And all the guys that they could have and should have traded have now gone, have plummeted in value.
Yep.
And if I'm on the board of the Melbourne Football Club and seeking answers, the decision not to trade Clayton Oliver at the time to get $1 million off your books, someone has to be held accountable to that.
Well, that was a lot of that was board related.
Well, then the board has to be held to account because, Mitch, these decisions impact clubs not just for a year. They impact them for a generation. What are they going to do at the end of the year with a disgruntled Petrarca who's just completely fallen away and a mediocre Oliver? Gawn can't carry the load anymore. Lever has been dropped this year. Mm-hmm. May's suspended again. I'd be pulling my hair out if I'm a Melbourne supporter. And then, the CEO still hasn't started, so we've got no CEO. The chairman's in Europe. I mean, it's a Faulty Towers episode.
Yeah. So last year's come and gone. We now acknowledge that with what they were at the time, and I'm happy to admit this, I thought if you get them all on the same page, go again when you're in the age demographic with May, Lever, Gawn. Why not have one more go? Because Collingwood showed, you can keep your older guys and do it. Now, they haven't been able to work it out this year. That's come and gone. Do you get the money off the books? Because clearly that, Oliver's not, you're not giving up a first rounder for Clayton Oliver right now.
No
way. With the money.
Not when you can get him for less.
What do you do?
Well, it just becomes a fire sale.
Yeah.
It becomes Collingwood with Grundy and Treloar.
Yeah.
Do they have the minerals to do that? I'm not sure. But I do think that people need to be held to account to what happened last year because it's going to impact them significantly for this year.
They've got a question to answer on the coach as well.
Yep.
The other part of Melbourne for me is we all talk about their 25 and unders, Cozzy, the crew. We've spoken on this show a number of times. Rivers, Turner, Bowie's coming along. McVee, although he's still not signed yet, Judd McVee, so that's a bit of a concern.
He's WA, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Caleb Windsor, Harvey Langford and Xavier Lindsay.
I like the last two.
But what about their 25 to 30s? So Tom Sparrow was a premiership player in 2021 as a 21-year-old. He's now 25. Yep. He's played 20 games in each of the last 4 years and never been top 10 in the BNF. Cade Chandler is a good, honest footballer, but he's not ever going to be a game changer. Clayton Oliver's not the player he was at 27 now. Harry Petty had 5 touches on the weekend and they had the chance to trade him for a top 10 pick and another first rounder. Charlie Spargo was sub on the weekend. His body's let him down. And Bailey Fritsch even, you watch that first quarter on the weekend, you think this guy could kick 8. He kicked 3 goals, 2 in the first quarter. Then he had 5 touches after quarter time. So we talk about their top end, we talk about their 24 unders, but there is some big gaps in that 24 to 30 age, 25 to 30 age bracket. And clearly that was part of the appeal to go after Houston last year and these sort of guys. But that is one area that I don't think gets enough attention when it comes to the D's list.
I think that's a really good point.
Just while we're on Melbourne, I was going to ask this later in the show. This is not a dig at Melbourne, but I have had more than one person come to me this week asking to ask Sam this.
This will be good.
Melbourne play West Coast this week at Marvel Stadium. Melbourne don't often play home games at Marvel Stadium. Like Richmond, their fans don't love the place. How many people, honestly, can we expect of that game?
Oh, you're really baiting me, aren't you? It can't be.
Plus, off the back of the week. So if they had won that on the weekend, there's a bit more positivity into the last month of the season. I can't remember seeing the Melbourne fan base this disgruntled. Maybe I was too young in the Mark Neal, Dean Bailey days.
Yeah, they were pretty flat then. Less than 15,000? I don't know.
Yeah, their fans don't love the place, so I'm really curious to see how it turns out there.
Yeah, I don't know, 14,500?
I got 13,000 there against Freo in 2012 at Marvel.
Over-unders.
Yeah, well, that's probably the number, isn't it? Mid-13s is the over-under.
West Coast have got a weird sort of Victorian following. They still get a few people.
Do they?
Yeah, they've got a few, what I'd like to call expats here living in Victoria.
They can't be expats.
I know. You admitted you get things wrong occasionally. Last week, it was only a week ago, we went through each other's whiteboard and said who's staying and who's going. I said Rolly O'Brien going because I don't know if a low ball is the right term, but he got a underwhelming 2-year offer to stay.
Yes.
It was bumped up to 3 years and he's decided to stay on Friday. So he...
Maybe what you did on the pod last week got him the extra year.
Who knows, potentially. So that is all wrapped up. Rolly O'Brien is going off my whiteboard. He's staying at the Adelaide Crows on a 3-year deal.
Bont off as well.
That'll take him, Bont's official. O'Brien will take him to 33. The spin-off for what happens with Rolly O'Brien is interesting to me now because clearly the Crows went to Sam Draper. There is no world where they're offering Rolly O'Brien 3 years and getting him to stay if they know that Draper's coming. And Rolly O'Brien would have smelt the breeze.
So what are you saying?
Well, Draper's not going to the Crows.
But I told you this.
No.
He's going to Brisbane.
Yeah, so I'm thinking your mail on Draper is getting stronger and stronger as the weeks go by.
Oh, you didn't think it was very good when I first... Oh, you never trust me.
Well, people at Essendon still think he's a chance to stay.
No, I don't think so. I mean, he could turn around and stay, but my money would be on him playing in Brisbane colours next year.
That's where my money's heading now too.
Jack Silvagni.
Yep.
So I remember sitting in the kitchen at Belfast and saying stay when it's probably now
So
go.
what's happened in the last week?
He's got the 4-year offer from Collingwood.
Yep. Officially?
Yep.
Yep.
So he's got a 4-year offer from Carlton to stay, which he's had for a few months. Now a 4-year offer from Collingwood, which is
round 13, I think they put it to Silvagni.
Yeah.
And they were confident at the time he'd sign that. Because 4 years for a player that's been injury prone at 28 is pretty good going, I would have thought.
Yeah. I mean, when you say he's injury prone, like he missed a whole year with a knee.
Yeah, but he's...
The last 3 years prior to that was pretty good.
The groin this year,
But he's played 14 games this year.
Yeah, but he's 28.
Yeah, and?
Well,
28's not 50.
How can you forecast what's going to happen in 3 or 4 years?
But you can't. It's not great money. It's mid-600s.
Jeez, it's not to be sneezed at.
Well, Mitch McGovern was getting mid-700s at Carlton 7 years ago.
Yeah, that was, to prize him out of the Crows.
Wow. I think everyone was running from the Crows.
Don't get me wrong. Jack Silvagni's had an amazing season for what he's been able to do in his new role in defence. But no one really was talking about him as an All-Australian this year, were they?
No, probably not. It does. So the question that the Silvagni situation poses is, you know how a lot of the discussion with Carlton, Mitch, has been, is it coaching or is it list? Mm-hmm. Right. So what I think this is an interesting question is when a player leaves, when a player like Silvagni, who's clearly a first 18 player, right, who's also very popular amongst players and fans, when someone like him leaves not for money, is that a reflection on list management or is it a reflection on football department / football program that has been set up? Because I think that's a lot of the questions that Carlton people are asking. And so you have to then pose, is Jack leaving because he's looking at the list and he's thinking, I can't really see myself playing in a flag here. I can see it at Collingwood. Or is Jack Silvagni leaving because he's saying to himself, look, we've had a good run. We got to a prelim. We've dropped our bundle. Everyone's kind of shitty. I don't like it here anymore. I'm going to go. So is this a Nick Austin problem, who's the list manager? Has he not created a list that has put them towards the top end of the ladder? Or is this a Brad Lloyd / Michael Voss problem that the football program has not been set up? So it's like the other way I'd ask the question is when player re-sign somewhere, often what we do is we congratulate the list manager for getting them to re-sign. But it's not usually their doing entirely. It's usually the entirety of the football program that's been developed.
To answer your question on this one, I think it's more the footy department as a whole and the vibe and the culture that's been created at Carlton. I think the offer put to Jack Silvagni is more than fair. 4 years at mid-600s. For a player that's 28, that's just gone into a new role, yes, he's played well in it, but he's not. I know you say he's their most important player. I wouldn't have him in the top 6 in that conversation.
He's definitely inside their top 6, most important player.
But
I think he'd be captain if Cripps wasn't.
Right. Okay.
Well, he'd be in the conversation.
Before the injuries this year, I would have had Walsh in that conversation.
Yeah, Walsh dropped off a lot. It's interesting to me that a club and a team that is calling out for competitiveness is going to trade the one bloke who looks like he competes. It's strange.
Yeah.
Strange.
And getting back to your original point, I think the offer's more than fair, and the only reason he's considering leaving now is because of what's been happening as a footy club as a whole.
My other question on Jack is, if Collingwood have come with 4 years, who else is going to come? Sydney needed a key back like nothing before.
Yeah.
The Dogs are clearly looking for someone else. There'd be 2 or 3 other clubs that would need a key back who's versatile, who they don't have to pay astronomical money to.
And as Craig McRae said, the appeal as an unrestricted free agent.
They're the ones that you don't have to pay for.
Correct.
Jack, yep.
You pay their salary, but you don't have to pay a trade pick for them. So for a club like the Dogs, who are all in on Zach Butters for 12 months' time, if you go and get a Jack Silvagni on a 4-year deal, you don't have to give up a pick for him. You've got the money left over from McRae, Bailey Smith, Caleb Daniel. Could that be an appeal?
So Silvagni's leaving, De Koning's leaving.
Are you prepared to say Silvagni's done with the Blues? He's played his last game.
I'd be very surprised
if he's coming back?
I'd be very surprised if he's in a Carlton jumper next year. Now, as we know, things changed.
This is the elephant in the room. How much of the Stephen stuff is at play here?
I think it's difficult to ignore. It's only something Jack can speak to.
And the backstory here for those, Sauce was list manager at the Blues.
Yep.
Had a falling out with the club.
2019.
Hasn't stepped foot back at the club. Didn't go to the 95 reunion early this year for 30 years. Didn't go into the rooms when Jack played his 100th game a year or 2 back.
Yeah, and remember that when the club went on record as to why Stephen departed, one of the reasons that they cited in a statement was essentially that it was awkward that the list manager had 2 sons on the list, because Ben was also on the list at the time.
Do you think Stephen saw it? Did Stephen see it that way?
No, well, I don't know. You'd have to ask Stephen. But I think that was the thing that really drove a wedge between the Silvagni name and the club. That, hang on. Well, that's one thing's got nothing to do with the other.
And Jack has re-signed since then, hasn't he?
Yep.
So he signed a 2-year deal.
Shorter deals.
2023, he signed a 2-year deal.
And Sauce was already gone by then. So it's not like...
I think he signed two
it's not like
deals.
Sauce leaving... Yeah, it's not like this is the first contract decision he had to make. But the interest out there wouldn't have been out there as strong as it is now.
So I think De Koning goes, I think Silvagni goes. And then the other interesting one's Curnow, who has clearly, through his management, approached the club and had a conversation around, if we're going to blow up the list, I'm happy to be involved. Which is quite extraordinary, really, when you think about it.
Yeah. I'm taking this as a bit more informal.
They're all informal until they're not.
Yeah. I think there was a joke even on the field a few weeks back, Charlie with a few of his mates that play at Collingwood, everyone was sort of winding each other up out in the field, and might be a group chat around their drink that they have together.
Right, well.
Anyway, he's not going to Collingwood.
It's good to see that Carlton players were enjoying themselves against Collingwood, because they certainly weren't competing. But it has unravelled itself, the Curnow situation, into the end result is I'm putting someone else on the whiteboard.
Something else?
Yep.
Oh, let me guess, it's Mackay.
Don't guess. Where's my pen?
Link's got one.
Did you give me one, Link? Thank you, sir.
Is that a permanent marker? I don't want the Sharpie.
It is. Good shout from you. This one's not. So where was Curnow linked to?
Geelong, Sydney, Gold Coast.
So the Gold Coast Suns already have quite a few forwards.
Yeah. Do you think there's so you speak to people at the Suns and the vibe I got was they didn't want to really borrow this, but you get in the sense
that's not true.
It's been reverse engineered.
Well, I wouldn't say it's been reverse engineered, but what is always interesting is when a new coach gets to a team and he has a different lens on players and how his team want to play.
Yeah.
Now, the Gold Coast Suns already have Jed Walter, who has shown some flashes of brilliance and they hope will end up being their version of Aaron Cadman, right? He's dynamic. He moves a little bit like Curnow. The other one is Ben King. Now, I did some notes last night when I got home and I was watching, what was I watching? Can't even remember.
The Agenda Setters?
No.
No, you would have already watched it.
No. Interesting. I did some interesting stats on the ratings, by the way. I'm just not sure I want to hurt you that badly too much. So he signed in February 23 of 2024, going into a year where he's out of contract.
Yep.
So he extends to the end of 26.
Banking.
Yep. And that was about 3 months after Damien Hardwick got there. He's played 113 games, 231 goals. He's kicked 6 once. He's kicked 5 on 6 occasions. And he's a free agent at the end of next year. Quite clearly, if Curnow was going to come, he'd have to go. The Gold Coast are pushing up the ladder.
Yep.
Free agent compensation is going to be worth less to them the better they get. It's sort of like
Correct.
the opposite of when Tom Lynch was leaving and Stephen May were leaving, when they were going to get guaranteed top 5 picks.
Yep.
This
well,
is
May wasn't a free agent, just to be clear.
Sorry, yep,
That was a trade.
May got traded for pick. May was the king pick, actually.
Yes.
Wasn't he? Yep. Ironically. We digress. I think Ben King is available at the right price.
This year.
Yep. Yeah, I do.
Does Ben King agree with that?
I haven't spoken to him directly about it. B. King.
And who's Ben King managed by?
Connors.
And who is Charlie Curnow managed by?
Connors. Now we're getting somewhere. Where's this going up?
You know the Connors machinations as well as anyone.
I'm just saying, one thing...
Was this a ploy to get Ben out of a year early?
I don't know. But Collingwood have always been sniffing around Ben King.
Yeah, so have 9 other Victorian teams.
And he's not going to have a shortage of suitors, as they say. But I just wonder whether, and I don't know this part to be a fact, I'm simply posing the question. Maybe Damien Hardwick isn't as enamoured with Ben King as, say, Stuart Dew was. And he sees a world in which they could replace him and cash in for him. So my question to you, Mitchell, is, at the end of this season, what is Ben King worth, money-wise and pick-wise?
He's 2 top 12 picks.
Oh, goodness. 2 top 12s.
Well, even 2 top 10s in this draft.
Blow me away with a feather.
And you'd have to pay him 1.4 to get him out. He's kicked 55 goals last year and 47 goals this year from 18 games.
Oh, no, I like him. That's a lot.
You're saying that Damien Hardwick doesn't like him
I'm not saying that.
Are you asking that?
I'm asking, I am posing the question. What does Caro say? Don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah. Can they win the flag?
Yes. They won't, but they can.
Could things change in this space if they do?
I don't know, but I do like them to play in a prelim this year. I don't think they're going to lose another game for the rest of the year until finals. And the free bye that they get in a warm-up to the finals against Essendon is going to be amazing. What are they going to do with that game, by the way, broadcast-wise?
That's a good question. It's still being worked through. I was asking some questions on that in the last couple of days.
Well, you're not allowed to ask questions on this because you're conflicted because you work for the host broadcaster. So, Jonesy, if you're listening, don't just give Mitch free stories.
When have I ever run off and reported this sort of stuff?
Actually, never. That's a good point.
It'll be the Wednesday.
So the Wednesday after round 23?
Yeah. The Wednesday before the Legends game.
That's a flat way to finish the year.
Well, where else? You can't do it anywhere else.
Wouldn't you just shove it into Sunday somewhere?
But the days breaks because both teams have got to play another game that week, that round.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, what am I thinking? Yep, they're both playing round 23.
Yep.
Yep. So
yeah, round 24. Sorry, just to be clear.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is Gold Coast, we're getting to air raid siren territory. Gold Coast may need a result in that game.
Yeah,
to get into the top four,
which
which adds some excitement.
Which does make it interesting. So if you're Hawthorn and you're sitting in fourth and Gold Coast are in fifth and they need to win by more than 80 points to take your spot in fourth, or let's just throw up an example, it could be a bit riding on it.
Is that a 7 game?
That again, to answer your original question, that's being worked through.
Mitch gets like all corporate when I start asking him about 7. He gets really sort of anxious.
Can we talk about Rowan Marshall?
Yes.
Because a piece of audio really pricked my ears yesterday.
Oh, we've brought audio.
This is Rowan Marshall in a press conference where he's talking about his role in the Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera match-winning situation. His kick to Nasiah was pinpoint perfect. He was asked about his future and links and interest for another club.
He'll make us a better team.
There was some chatter about you. You've told us to come across and whether you might be willing to explore other opportunities. Where does that sit with you?
This is going to sound so cliche, but I haven't really, given it too much thought. There's 4 games left, and I guess I'm employed by the St Kilda Football Club to rock up each week and perform, and that's just my sole focus at the minute. I think probably my last 2 or 3 weeks have been.
Oh boy,
he had the chance
to
take the Kookaburra and put that over the fence and say, I'm staying at the St Kilda Footy Club, and he chose to just pat it back down to mid-off.
Mitch has gone with a cricket analogy. And I think he thought about bailing on it about a quarter of the way through once he said Kookaburra.
You know when you get ready to play a big shot and then you pull out on it? That's sort of what I did. But
you would have been a handy cricketer, I reckon.
I couldn't bat to save myself.
Oh, that's
Left
so
arm,
funny.
Left arm in swingers.
Wow, that's the opposite of what I thought you would be. I had you as like a crafty number 6 bat.
Michael Bevan style.
Yes, that is exactly who I pictured you as.
What did you make of that? Because he left that very open-ended.
Well, I think that's just smart business, particularly with the moving parts of deconing.
Yeah.
I think it's better for him to – I know that he has had sit-down one-on-one conversations with Ross Lyon away from the club around his future.
Yep.
And I think they're desperate to keep him. Mm-hmm. But I think with everything happening, it would just be smart of him to, as you said, play the straight bat.
Yeah. So the battle here is going to be what St Kilda can get for him. I think if they got a top 12 pick, you'd let him go because the Saldia members in that, we're bringing in deconing. We don't have to pay a draft pick for him. We're in sort of a mini rebuild still. Not a mini. We're still in building and going to the draft. So we can get another top pick for Marshall, bring in deconing for no pick.
How old's Marshall? 30.
Turns 30 in November.
So he's still got a good 3 seasons left.
Yeah.
If you were Carlton, would you use the deconing combo on him?
And that's what... Nah.
What's Marshall?
Because
the
deconing pick's going to be pick 7 or 8.
Yeah, it's probably too much. It's a bad draft, though, according to everyone.
Does someone come with an end of first rounder, or do they come with a future first rounder for Marshall?
Maybe.
A club that backs himself to finish top 6 next year.
Yeah, which Carlton should be doing.
Thinks he could be the missing piece, like a Geelong. Did Geelong come and say, we'll give you a future first rounder? Now, maybe not because of what they want for next year with...
So Geelong going back to the AFL and applying for more salary cap again? How are they affording Marshall?
Refer you to 6 weeks ago, how Geelong have got this all sorted.
I love when you bring audio. That was good. Marshall, stay or go?
On that audio, there's not a lot of optimism that he stays, is there?
Is he on our whiteboard? I don't think he's on there.
No, he's on mine.
Oh, he's on... No, there he is.
Yeah, so, look, if St Kilda can get an early pick, I reckon they let him go. But clubs are going to know the scenario and think that they can get away with a pick in the 20s. And don't forget, pick 12 to 13 this year could end up being pick 15 or 18 by the time the compo picks are put in. And then you've got academy picks put in there as well. Just was looking through this last night. Geelong traded pick 30 for a 32-year-old Sean Higgins
Oh.
Marshall's 2 years younger and more important to the side.
Sean Higgins pretty good.
He was coming to the end at 32.
Did you play many good games for Geelong? I'm trying to remember. You're the Geelong expert.
Let's have a look. Sean Higgins.
He was a very good player at North.
Oh, shit, yeah. He played...
What did he play like?
He only played 23 games for Geelong.
Games, yeah.
And a lot of those was a sub. Well, not a lot. He started as a sub twice and was subbed out a couple of times.
Can I ask you about how Miles Bergman's been since he signed the contract?
I haven't been watching him as closely as I was when he was out of contract.
Doesn't set the world on fire. His last 4 weeks, 17 disposals, 13 disposals on a goal, 12 disposals, 14 disposals.
Fair to say his showdown this time around wasn't as good as his showdown the first time.
You can't be earning $1 million having 12 disposals. Can't be doing that.
You're hot on this guy, yeah.
Well, I don't see it. He's a good player. He's no planet is he worth $1 million. I think, personally.
Can we just talk about North Melbourne really quick before we get into some nuts and bolts?
Let me take a big breath here now. Okay, I'm ready.
So Alistair Clark's on the weekend saying they know where they're at as a footy club. And it's not all about results. This is a club.
I can't do it.
This is a club, Sam, that traded their first pick for this year. Now, Matt Whitlock, who they got in that draft, could quite easily be a top 10 pick in this year. So how are we to know that they didn't rate him as a top 10 pick? They've got him in. They've got 12 months of development into him, so it might have worked. But there's no world where you are trading your future pick and expecting to finish second last.
No. They may have ended up trading pick 2.
Yep. And the post-game narrative from North was it's all about Geelong's experience. We're getting games into our kids and we've got an undermanned backline. I don't think there was enough in that game, post-game from Clarko about the North Melbourne Witches hats. Not many times a team loses by 100 points and you can say the scoreboard flooded them. I watched most of that game, flicking between that and the showdown. They should have lost that by 150.
Yep, I agree.
Like, they are unlucky to get away with 100 points there. This is not a whacking North Melbourne exercise, but I'm actually properly worried about the future generations of the supporter base for this club because I'm a 93 baby, right? Turned 32 this year. A lot of guys my age and footy fans my age picked their teams when they were between 5 and 8 years old. So a lot of kids growing up was Essendon and Brisbane supporters because they were good then and they started supporting good teams. What gives a 5 to 8 year old right now the motivation to start barracking for North Melbourne unless you've followed it through your bloodlines and your family's a North Melbourne family?
Yeah, it's been a tough road.
And extrapolating that over the last 5 years, you know, there hasn't been a lot to get around for this club. I'm actually worried about what this looks like in 5, 10, 15 years' time when, you know, you go to the footy on the weekend, kids are supporting Nick Dacos, kids can go and watch Nick Watson. You know, there's an appeal to support Geelong because of Bailey Smith. Kids are drawn to superstars. And apart from Harry Sheasel, there's not a lot to get around for North Melbourne right now. And they continue to push out what they did on the weekend. I'm actually really concerned about what it looks like in years to come.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I was actually devastated's the wrong word, but I felt really uncomfortable with the whole Dangerfield eating a souvlaki thing because I know that it's not his fault. It's not on him. But I'm saying the narrative that it turned into was they're a laughingstock. And that's sad. Like, we don't want that for our competition. But that they are quite literally getting laughed at. And, you know, they've butchered the draft. I've done this several times. I'm not going to go back over it. They've just picked the wrong guys. And they refuse to address the fact that they have no key defenders, which is just shocking to me. Griffin Logue's not a key defender. Toby Pink's not a key defender. Well, they're certainly not AFL key defenders.
Well, we all praised Toby Pink's role on Curnow a few weeks ago.
Well, Curnow was asleep, but yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going to continue, if they're going to continue to make the same mistakes, they're going to continue to get pumped. And, you know, they were really strong as a footy club when they were banning media people from their rooms. But I haven't really heard from Jen Watt. I haven't really heard from Sonia Hood since things have started to go pear-shaped on the field.
I want them to be good. Like you want these clubs to have success. I want to see McKercher come through. I want to see Dersma take his opportunity with both hands. I want to see Wardlaw come from the VFL after 2 weeks and play a role at AFL level. But I'm actually just there's not a lot to get around right now. And when they're putting up results like that, as a 5 to 8 year old, if you're picking your team in the schoolyard, you're not going to be willing to put your hand up when you're walking on Monday and say you support North Melbourne after things like that.
Yeah, I mean, Wardlaw has an edge to him, which I really like,
Yeah.
but he can't get on the field, so you park him to one side. Mm-hmm. LDU doesn't want to be the guy, and his form fluctuates. Simpkins not in great form. McKercher's at back pocket. Sheasel's been playing at halfback. Who am I missing here? Dersma, is he picked 2?
Yeah, 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah, this is not good.
Finn O'Sullivan's got a bit to him.
Finn O'Sullivan has a bit to him. I agree with that. There's just there's not enough. There's not enough players that the young, to your point, the young North Melbourne generation would want to get put on their numbers. Would want to be put on their backs when they go to the footy.
And the midfield on the weekend, like you had LDU running around there and Simpkin. It's not like they're decimated through the midfield.
No, and they've picked a lot of midfielders through the draft, so they should be a lot better than that. And I just wondered, I think like Sherry has to be captain, doesn't he? He plays like he bleeds for that footy club every single minute of every week.
Yeah.
And him not being there on the weekend was so evident. I think he has to be captain.
And Larky wouldn't have made much of a difference on the weekend when
No.
they had 41 less inside 50s in a game of footy.
So what do they concede? 66?
76.
76.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Cats had 41 more inside 50s. Could we do a bit of nuts and bolts?
Let's do it.
So when clubs go for players and miss, sometimes it doesn't always work out for the best. You know, Carlton would love Tom Papley in their side right now.
Oh, that hurts.
You know, Jordan Dawson, can you imagine him at Port right now with Butters and Rosie? They had a big crack at him and missed. But there are some stories over years where players being targeted by clubs and that club missing that player has actually worked out for the best. So I've got a few examples. The Crows pursued Jack Lukosius end of last year. Right now, I don't know where he would play at the Crows. That's because of how well they're going, yes. But in time, maybe as a potential replacement for Tex as the third tall, but Thilthorpe and Fogarty's going to stack up in time even when Tex departs. If they had have brought Lukosius in, you know, Curtin wouldn't have excelled like he did this year, so he's found a role. And then you'd take Worrell, Keane, Murray well ahead of him in defence. They may have been able to play Lukosius on a wing, but they seem pretty balanced to me right now. And they would have given up their future first rounder, which could help and could give them the edge over the Power this year in negotiations for Nazai Wanganeen-Millera. Now, they still need to win Nazai's commitment, but the Crows have their first rounder for this year. The Powers don't because they gave it up for Lukosius. Plus the extra money last year, I think, helped them to up their offer for James Peatling, who has probably gone under the radar. Been a pretty handy pickup this year, James Peatling.
Has been.
For the Crows.
Very good role player like Neil Bullen.
Hawthorn, we've spoken about this before, but they pursued Asava Radaglia and Ben Mackay. Neither have been able to stay on the park consistently.
Bullets dodged.
Radaglia's had back-to-back hammies in back-to-back years. Mackay's had foot and ankle dramas. And then instead of missing those guys, they 12 months later go and bring in Battle and Barris. If they had got either of Radaglia or Mackay, they probably don't go for either Barris or Battle, I reckon. They would have been pretty content with Frost and Scrimshaw, Sicily and those guys down there. Now, Barris and Battle haven't set the world on fire yet, but we haven't got to September. I reckon Barris in September is going to be a different kettle of fish all over again. I think he's going to be really important.
I agree with that.
If they get that far.
Yep.
And Barris, the other thing that's probably gone under the radar is he's played his 18th game this year. I only learnt this week he's never played more than 20 games in a season.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
In a career.
Yep.
So he's going to surpass that this year. So the Hawks and what they've been able to do, get him on the park consistently, has been pretty good. This one came from our Instagram and loved it. Fremantle with Tim Kelly in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
Peter, the Feather Bell, was on the record saying they wanted Tim Kelly. For the feather, for those that remember, he said it'd be a feather in my cap if we keep Lachie Neale.
Yes.
It sort of became a They didn't keep him. Running narrative. Link's a Freo man. He understands it. West Coast go and get Tim Kelly. They give up pick 14, 24 and a future first rounder. Now, had the Dockers have won Tim Kelly's commitment that year, they would have had to have given up at least one first rounder that year and maybe a future first rounder. And that year in the draft, they took Hayden Young and Caleb Sarong, pick 7 and 8. and then they matched a bid for Liam Henry as part of their academy. So what I'm saying is if Kelly had arrived, they wouldn't have got Young. They would have missed one of Young or Sarong.
Yep.
And both are going to be pretty important in their run home to finals. Did you watch much of the Derby on the weekend?
I watched most of the first half.
Yeah.
And then it's...
Young was... He's so good.
Don't say it. Don't even think about saying it for what I think you're going to.
He's their best player?
I think that's what people at Freo think as well. He's
Well,
not.
They gave him an 8-year contract.
Yeah. And don't even... You're not going to mention A grader, are you? You're
Not yet.
He's not even close.
He's had a few hammies this year and he's just had the surgery.
He played one good year last year and has barely played this year. And you're starting to talk to him about it.
There's 4 home and away games left. If he can do it for home and away season and finals, maybe I'll be putting him up for
Imagine
A-grade
Mitch's
conversation.
A-grade whiteboard. Like, it'd just be half the comp.
I agree with Hayden Young.
Well, you think he's an A-grader now?
No, they wouldn't have beat Collingwood in that last quarter if he didn't come on as the sub.
That's very true, Link.
All right, I'll start handing out A-grade cards like they're hotcakes.
And they've managed him perfectly. They bring him on as the sub for a quarter against the Pies. They play him for 3 quarters in the Derby. A couple others.
Why
Harrison
do Western
Petty.
Australian people say Derby? Have we worked that out yet? Why do you say Derby, Link?
I don't know.
It's like I had people from Geelong say
He was the Ross
Arnie.
Glendenning Ben Allen medalist as well on the weekend, Hayden Young. Harrison Petty, end of 2023, the Crows offered 1 top 10 pick and a future first rounder.
Oh, God.
And $1 million a season for Harrison
my
Petty.
God.
They entered that draft with picks 11 and 15. So one of them would have been gobbled up with how they've got Petty. Instead, they swap in the draft and they get Curtin. Would you take Dan Curtin or Harrison Petty right now if you're the
Curtin's
Crows?
so good.
Don't forget they're paying Curtin still on his draft contract. A couple others. Chad Wingard, he was down to Hawthorn of the Dogs. The Hawks gave up a first rounder for Chad Wingard at the time. Had the Dogs have got him, they would have had to have given up, I think, a future first rounder, and that was the player they took, Cody Waitman.
Oh.
So Waitman, yes,
is
he's been
good
injured
list
this
from you.
year. And just finally, Gold Coast, end of 2022, they flew Ben Long and Jason Johannesson up to the Gold Coast. They had the choice of Johannesson or Long.
Oh.
They picked Long.
Yeah.
That has turned out to be one of the more underrated decisions in the Gold Coast list build.
There's no way
Picking
they
Ben Long
thought
over
he
Jason Johannesson.
he was going to be this good, by the way.
Not at all. And you talk about that forward line with Reid, Walter and King. He's playing his part too.
That's a great list.
So hit us up at Tradies Podcast on Instagram if there's any more you want to put into that conversation.
Please do. Wow, that was great. Anything to leave us with?
You got the Tradies tease?
Yes, I do. The Tradies Tease, which Mitch launched his debut last week, which I thought was very strong.
I've never had more messages about something on
Oh,
this pod.
of course.
No, people wanting to know who it was.
All for the great people at Lexus of Blackburn. I think Mitch is going to find himself in one of those cars quite soon. My Tradies Tease is, which contracted small forward star has had his head turned by a Victorian club in recent weeks? And his name has not been mentioned.
Some homework.
Small forward star, contracted and very happy where he's at.
Has he been thrown up as a trade potential in the past?
I'm not giving you any hints.
That's Tom Papui.
I'm not giving you any hints. I just think his name is going to end up being floated.
So
During the trade
why is he not on the whiteboard?
Well, because he's very happy where he's at.
Okay.
So I don't want to just unnecessarily throw him under the bus. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but when we raise things on this podcast, they tend to go viral quite quickly.
Could Harley Reid have signed
Hang
the
on, what-
Eagles by this time next week?
What's happened to my whiteboard? Why is the A grade, this says Chad Goulden and Haynes?
Someone must have overruled you.
That's not funny. Isaac Heaney, not an A grade.
Goodbye. We'll see you next week.